I got another Tip Tuesday video for you guys today, and in this video I'm going to kind of tell you what I personally do when I go to the casino and first start out, and that is I back count at a shoe game, meaning that it's not hand dealt, it's dealt out of a shoe like this, because you can jump into the game kind of in the middle of a shoe, whereas like a hand dealt, like a double deck game, is oftentimes typically what's called no mid shoe entry, whereas these you can jump in whenever the count is advantageous, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to back count, so I'm counting behind the table, and so that means that someone has to be already playing. So this is going to represent kind of just a random ploppy, if you will, at the table, someone who's not a card counter. They're going to be playing there, you know, eating up those bad cards for me, and I'm going to try to jump in when the count is advantageous. So let's do that here, and real quick, I'm going to pull these back, and this is going to represent two decks that have been played. And let's say that we're counting this and the count gets to +8, all right? Just real quick, if you don't trust me, you can slow down the video and put on, you know, half speed or something and count this with me. But I'm gonna count through this really quick, and we should get up to +8, meaning that 8 divided by the 4 decks that are left would give me that +2 that would be a good time to jump in at. All right, so let's count through this. All right, so again, that should get you right at a +8. Okay, so in other words, you know, after those last few hands came out, all right, or whatever, and they're being played, I guess it'd probably just be to this guy. And let's say this is maybe the dealer, so 12 versus whatever, they would hit that, okay, and then dealer's gonna flip over some cards here. Let's say that right now, you know, a bunch of little cards came out, so maybe it was at a 7 before this. This would cancel, those two would cancel, this would jump it up to 8. And so that'd be my clue to jump in, because in the discard tray, I'm seeing that 2 decks have been played, and I know this is a 6-deck game, so there's 4 decks that are left to be played. So in my head, I'm doing the calculation, all right, running 8 divided by 4 decks left, well, 8 divided by 4 is 2. That's when I like to jump in, is at a +2. And the reason for that is normally around a +1 is when you gain the advantage. And so if by jumping in at a +2, I'm gonna be able to sit down and play a few hands, and if the count were to drop negative, all right, I could just get up and leave, but it'd probably take a few hands to do that. Whereas jumping in right at a 1, it might drop below that advantage, and then I'm playing hands where the casino, when the house has the edge again, and I don't want to do that. Okay, so we're going to play this out. Actually, we're going to play through the rest of this. I'm going to shuffle this up a little bit, but I also have marked off right around a deck or so where the cut card is, so pretty good. This represents pretty good penetration. I'm also going to give you guys some chips here, and so these are in groups of 4. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 500 in green. And we're going to be using a 1 to 10 bet spread, so another 5 in black. So let's say this is like representing 1,000 chips, or $1,000, I should say, that we're going to give you. And my bet spread I'm going to use is I'm going to be playing a minimum bet when, actually I might not even have to do that, because I'd probably jump out when the count is below a true 1. But for every count that's above a true 1, I'm going to be betting that many greens. I've done this bet spread before. That many greens in 2 spots. So this would represent a true 1. Okay, currently it's at a true 2, so I'm going to be betting 2 greens in 2 spots, all the way up to a true 5, where I would be betting 5 greens in 2 spots. So this would be like my max bet. All right, maybe we'll get there, maybe not. I don't know. I'm going to shuffle these up, so I have no clue what this is going to do. All right, I'm going to take the first parts of the shoe here, give those a nice shuffle to randomize this. Oops, throw those in there. Okay, and you know what? I'm also going to do it here. I'm going to leave those because this is, I counted that out, I think it's 52 cards, so kind of 1 deck for a good cutoff there. All right, throw these into the shoe, and then this would leave us, if that's 2 decks that have been played, 1 deck cutoff, we should have about 3 decks that we should get through, unless again the count goes negative, and then we'll stop. But I think it's kind of a good practice to see exactly what you might want to do when you first get to the casino. You know, it's always good to jump into a game where you know you're having the edge. And so that's why you can just sit there and back count for the remainder. The other thing is, remember, I'm jumping into a game that already had a ploppy or someone else who's not a counter. So there does have to be someone else at the table. So it's not just going to be me playing. There's also going to be someone else. I'm not going to pay them out. I'm just putting these red chips there to indicate that's kind of who's at that spot. Okay, but I will pay out myself, and we'll see if we gain a little bit or lose a little bit at the end. Again, anything can happen in any shoe. We know that. I'll just play basic strategy for this person. Okay, for me though, I'll apply all the deviations and things as well. Okay, so if it was at a +8 for the running count, 2 for the true count, if it was at +8, now what's the count at? Well, 9, 10, 9, 8, and then this cancels, so it's still at 8. They're going to double down. 9. Oops, too many for me. Count's still at 9, and that's going to stand. 10, 11, 10, 9. All right, so I think we won there. Counts at 9. Again, I'm not paying out them. So 9, similar count here. 9 divided by 4 decks left is still a true 2. Hey, blackjack, nice. All right, pays 3 to 2. So was it 9, 8, 7? Before you sweep those away, count those up. And cancels. So the count is at 7 here. 8, 7, 8, 9. Okay, similar counts. Still betting 2 greens. Count is at 9. Oops, you can tell I'm not a dealer. All right. It was at 9, let's see, now it's at 10, 11, double down, oops, saying blackjack first, nope. 11, 12, 13, nice, 12, 11, 10, okay, so we got a winner there at the 21. Count is at 11. 11 divided by 4. Actually, it's going to be a little bit less than 4 decks now. This is where I like to round up a little bit, because how do I say this? Because 12 divided by 4 would be a 3. All right, but we're at 11 divided by a little bit less than 4 to be played. So therefore, it's probably okay to round up a little bit there. All right, running count is at 11. Now it is at 10, 9. Okay, it's a stand. And nice, too many. Still at 9. That's why you round up. Pay it off in that case. It doesn't always, but. Okay, now we're approaching 3. We're not quite at 3 yet, and so I probably would bring my bets back down just a little bit here, because I can tell we're not quite at 3 decks left to be played. So 9 divided by 3 is a 3, but this is a little bit less than that, so we're going to be just betting 2. Hey, they got blackjack. Nice. All right, was that 9? And let's see, now we're at 8, 7. So I'd pay them out, take away their blackjack. Counts at 7. That's going to stand. Yeah, we're not splitting yet. 8 and 7. Come on. 7. I'm having trouble here. All right, and I gotta take those. All right, 7 divided by, I'd say this is about 3.5 decks left to be played. That is going to be a true 2. Okay, it was at 7. Now it's at 8. All right, that's a stand. Ooh, this is interesting. 12 versus dealer's 2. There's a deviation to stand on a 12 versus 2 at a true count of +3 or higher. So an 8 divided by 3, we are not quite there yet. So I think I'm gonna have to hit this still. All right, so worked out that time. But yeah, that is a deviation that you need to know. Okay, so count's still at 8. This is gonna be a double down at 11. Ooh, got 12, unfortunately. 8, 7, and 20. So I think we lost both of those. Count's still at 7. Sometimes it doesn't always work out. 7, again, same thing as before. 7 divided by 3.5 is still a 2. All right, 7, 6, 5, 4. Stand, stand, stand. 5, 4. Count is dropping a little bit. Okay, which makes sense because we started at a pretty high count, and so that means that there was more high cards left. When the high cards get played, the count drops. So count is at 4 now. 4 divided by, I'd say we are at 3. 4 divided by 3 is a 1, true count of 1. So I'm going to just be betting 1 green in each of these spots. Okay, and let's see, it was at 4. Now it is still at 4. It's a hit. 3. It's a hit. 2. That's going to be a stand. And 1. Oh man, the count is plummeting here. Okay, so you have some options now. The count is at 1, and because it's at 1, and I have 3 decks that are left to be played, 1 divided by 3 is 1/3, which is less than 1. And because of that, we do not have the advantage anymore. Typically in a shoe game, it's a little bit more than 1. A true 1 is when you gain the advantage, and so a running 1 divided by anything less than that would not work. And so you can do a couple things here. I would probably pull my bets back, and then I would just let this guy play. I might check the messages on my phone while I kind of keep an eye on the count. So let's do that. Let's see if the count rises, and then we might jump back in. All right, so if it's at a 1, I'm just going to be playing with this guy. All right, now it's at 2, so it's helping out a little bit. Stand. And 3. There you go. All right. So then after checking my messages, now it's at a 3. 3 divided by 3 is a 1. So you could choose to come back in now or wait for a 2, either way. I might play though, because that's why you came here. You want to watch what happens. All right, count is at 3. I'm playing 2 spots at 1 because 3 divided by 3 is a 1, a true 1. Oh, that's a misdeal. Throw that back in the middle. Casino ever does this, don't trust them. All right, it was at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Double down, 4. Split. Three. Another double down. Nice. 2. Okay, and that's going to stand. 3. That's what it ended up being anyway. Still 3 and 2. Nice, look at that. Big win there. Okay, counts at 2. I'd say there probably is 2 decks left or really close to it, maybe slightly less. We'll call it a true 1. 2 divided by 2 here. Okay. If you want, you can play conservative and just play 1 if you don't think it's quite added 2 yet. In fact, the more I look at it, I'm going to say it's a little bit less than that. So I'm still going to play 1 since it's at a 2. All right. We might not have the advantage necessarily, but doesn't mean we don't have to not play. It is not below 0. All right, it was at 2. Now it is below 0. 2, 1, 0, D1, D2. Those are both stands. Got a blackjack. Counts at D2. Stand on that. D1 and 0. And let's see, that's the win. Okay, and then I'm gonna do what I did before. So count is at 0. I'm gonna pull my bets back, and we're gonna let this guy just play against the dealer here. And I'm really getting all these messages on my phone. I don't know, so I better check them. All right, was at 0, now it's at D1. Stand, D2, let's push. Let him play another one. There we go. Now it's back to D1, so was that D2, D1, 0, 1, 2, and 1. Let's see, is that? Yeah, there it's stand. Probably should have stood there. Still at 1, 2, and 1. There's still 2, excuse me. Okay, 2. Now there is definitely 2 decks left to be played. So 2 divided by 2 is a 1. I'm going to jump back in. Let's count rows. Oh, look at that. Hey, that's a good thing I did jump back in. All right, it was at 2. Let's see, back to 1. Better get on the blackjack first. $25 and $12.50. Counts at 1. Come on. 0. 15. 1. And let's push. Yeah. All right, counts at 1. Again, we're gonna let them play. So you can just kind of do this dance, all right? If let them go back and forth. If they start looking at you funny and you don't like that, you can get up and leave. But I mean, just watch people around the casino. They do dumb stuff all the time. So it's not too abnormal for you to do that. All right, counts at 0. Stand. D1, 0. 1, 2. 3, 2, 3. Okay, now it counts at 3, and I'd say there is about a deck and a half left to be played. So that's going to give me a true 2. 3 divided by 1.5. Counts at 3. Whoa. Sorry about that. Let's see. Now it's still at 3. Stand. Ooh. 2, dang it. Counts at 2, that's a stand. 1, there's our cut card, and 0, so end up breaking even on that last one. All right, I got 0 on that last little bit there, is what my final count was. Before we count all that up, see if we won anything or not, I'm gonna count through the rest of the deck here. So it was at 0, and I should get back to 0. So all of these in here should get me to 0. Let's see if it does or not. Bear with me, got about 50 or so cards to count. So if it was at 0, this is gonna give me 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, D1, D2, D3, D2, D1, 0, D1, D2, D1, 0, D1, D2, D1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, D1, 0, D1, 0, D1, 0, D1, 0. Ah, was I off by 1? I don't know, I was counting those pretty fast. I don't know whether I was off by 1 or not. Either way, the idea, that's no excuse. I should not be off by 1, so my apologies there. But either way, what I wanted to show you today is the fact that when you go to a casino and you back count, don't just jump in right away at the beginner's shoe when the count is at 0. Because if you can let, like at the beginning there, we let what, about 2 decks play, and then you jump into something that is positive already, that's going to be way more beneficial than if you were to just start at 0, and who knows if the count drops, or maybe it does rise a little bit. But by jumping in at that count, +2 or so, maybe 1.5 is what you want to wait for, depending on how crowded the table is and things like that. That is the tip for you today. Hopefully you liked this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate that. And until next time, remember, this is A1 Blackjack.